All right, so Acts chapter 7, verse 21. It's continuing. He's getting to the part where Moses was born, right? And it was, and it was his time to be cast into the river, basically. In verse 21, and when he was cast out, Pharaoh's daughter took him up and nourished him for her own son. Right, so 3 months, it's time to come to throw him in the river, but they put him in a little ark type of boat, and they put him in the river. And then Pharaoh's daughter grabbed him out of the river and raised him as her own son. And then verse 22. And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and was mighty in words and in deeds. All right. All right, so this is the verse where it explains Moses was basically schooled and learned. He knew all about the Egyptians' way of life and teachings and history and everything. And this word, so basically, when we talk about Noah's Ark, you say he wrote this, supposed to be 300 cubits. So he was learned in the Egyptian. So the royal Egyptian cubit, if you calculated 300 of those cubics, it turns out that's 515 feet. And Noah's Ark, which was found in Turkey, in the mountains of Ararat, that's there today, is 515 feet, based on the royal Egyptian cubit, which Moses knew all about, looking at this verse. All right, so, and then, side note, and then verse 23, and when he was full 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his brethren, the children of Israel. All right, so now he's 40. So he's seeing that, his people are there in Egypt, and so he came into his heart that he wanted to, visit with them. And then verse 24, and seeing one of them suffer wrong, he defended him and avenged him that was oppressed, and smote the Egyptian. Right, so he stood up for one of his own brethren, from his nation, that was being oppressed by one of the Egyptians. So he, took matters in his own hand, and he defended the Hebrew or the Israelite, and he smote the Egyptian. Right? And then it's continuing in verse 25. For he supposed his brethren would have understood how that God by his hand would deliver them, but they understood not. Right? So he's thinking, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to defend my brethren here, my own people. But the guys, they didn't understand what he was doing, because they knew him. He's an Egyptian guy. Really, they weren't understanding what he was trying to do. Verse 26, and the next day he showed himself unto them as they strove, and would have set them at one again, saying, Sirs, ye are brethren, why do ye wrong one to another? Okay, so the next day, two of the Hebrews or the Israelites were fighting against each other. So Moses came and intervened and said, hey, why are you guys fighting? Your brother, what are you guys doing? You shouldn't be fighting against each other. All right, and then verse 27, but he that did his neighbor wrong thrust him away, saying, Who made thee a ruler and a judge over us? Right. So one of his own brethren that was having a fight with the other guy, when Moses came over there to try to interject and intervene, he said, Get out of here, what are you doing? He thrust him away. He said, who made you rule over us? Go back to your side of the street, But he said,